Hey guys, it's Candy, and I'm going to do a couple videos on basics card making and stamping. I've had a couple requests to do a few videos, and then one here recent about someone who hasn't made any cards at all. So I just real quick want to do a tutorial on how to make cards, and I'm going to start real simple and work my way up to fancier cards. But first thing that you really need is some kind of stamp. So they have wood stamps like these, and they have clear stamps like these. And with clear stamps and the ones that I'm going to show you next, you're going to need a block to put these on. So if you're brand new to stamping, I usually say buy a bigger block, more like this size. You can get them at Hobby Lobby, Michael's. You can order them online, Amazon. Or if you have a Stampin' Up! Consultant, you can get them from Stampin' Up! So, you know, like this is a bigger one, so most of these will fit, those kind of things. So you'll need those. So there's clear stamps, stamps on wood, and then there's rubber stamps that are cling mount too. So they're not see-through, they're rubber, but they also go on these clear. So you're going to need a stamp, and which kind you're going to use, and you're going to need a block. Now, the next thing you're going to need to think about is, do you like to color or not? They have stamps that you don't have to color that are filled in, and this isn't a great example, but there are many stamps that really are solid, so you don't need to color them in, and others that aren't, so that you would color them in. So this is the kind of thing you need to think about. Okay, so I love to color, so I'm going to show you that kind of stamp today, just as we're going along. Oops, sorry for bumping here. And that way I too don't need the block. Another thing you're going to need to think about is ink. And there's lots of different ways that you can ink a stamp. You can just use markers. I mean, you can even use Crayola markers, and I'll show you that in another video about coloring. But today we're just going to do basic. But you can use a marker just by coloring on your stamp. This is StazOn. This is a permanent ink that will go on vellum, any kind of shiny material. It takes a little bit longer to dry, but it's a permanent. The only downside to the StazOn ink is that it doesn't work with your alcohol markers, like your Sharpies, your Copics, your Spectrum Noirs, which for a brand new stamper, you don't really need to worry about this. I usually use this on regular paper when I'm using like water, inks with water, or painting, or anything that would kind of smear. The next kind of ink that you could use is Memento. This works really well with the alcohol markers. And you know, I'm trying to think if I don't know if this one smears or not. I don't know that I've used it with other markers, so we'll try that as we go. Another ink you can use is like a pigment ink. Stampin' Up! Has pigment inks. There's lots of different brands at all the different stores, but this is just a nice one that prints, or you can stamp out on an image and color inside. And then there's also colored inks. There's distress ink, so I'm not going to go too much into all the different kinds of inks, but there are many different kinds out there. They all have their pros and cons, and you seriously can do a search here on YouTube, and they will tell you all the different things that you can do with your ink. So for basic stamping, usually you're making a card. So you can do one of two things. You can do it on your own cardstock, or I often buy the Recollection collections to start my cards. It's just a basic white card that you fold out, and it has an envelope. So Michael's often has these on really good prices, and they have several different sizes and different colors. So I usually start with just a cardstock from Recollections. But for today, as I'm stamping, I'm going to just show you on white paper. So I'm just going to take it's a little heavier than like copy weight, but you could use copy paper if that's all you had. But I usually like to use a little bit heavier weight. And then if I'm using alcohol markers, I even do a heavier than that. So the first thing that you're going to do is open up your stamp or your ink, And like I said, because I do like to color, I often use the stamps that have areas that you can color. So you can ink up your stamp. So here's your butterfly. You can ink up your stamp, and there's a couple different ways you can tap on top of it. You can take the butterfly on here, lots of different ways, and like I say, you can just use a marker and color that up. So sorry for the background, my dryer's knocking stuff off. So you stamp that up, and then you gently press down. And like I say, I'll show another video about coloring on a different video. So there's your butterfly. And then you could just put a sentiment, a sentiment right underneath of it. Make sure I got enough ink on there. And you can stamp a sentiment right underneath. And that could be the front of your card had I folded it, or just, and it can be just that simple. Now cards can get totally crazy decorated, and there's tons of different things that you can do with them, and that's really fun, and I'll show those as we go. But really, you can have a simple, just take your stamp, ink, and a sentiment, and then you're ready to go. And like, I could cut this off and put it on a blue cardstock that I folded in half. And usually if you take a piece of 8.5 by 11 paper, cut it in half, and then fold that in half, and then you've got a perfect size for a card. So if you got any questions, put it in the description below. But this is just a very quick how-to basic stamp. Hope you guys enjoy. Thanks. Bye-bye.